This podcast contains strong adult content, probably crude language, and general fuckery. So put those kids away. Get them out of here.
Good evening. In a landmark ruling, the Supreme Court today legalized abortion.
Huge increases in sexually transmitted diseases.
Transgender rights is a fundamental human right.
There is a right to marriage equality. I repeat, speaking to you from the steps of the Supreme Court, there is a right to marriage equality.
Should sex education be taught to our kids?
Rolling back contraceptive coverage for women.
Make sure that women get the health care that they need. So we've got a lot of work in front of us. Thank you very much.
Welcome back, everybody.
Hey!
This is Frisky History, where we explore the humorous, bizarre, and sometimes horrifying history of reproductive health, relationships, and sex.
Yeah,
That's what we are. I'm Lacey.
I'm Robin.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm good. I got the wine. We got a table.
Yeah, we have
Moving
a
up in the
real
world.
table.
We have a real table.
Yeah,
So
for those who don't know, we used like packing
plastic
containers.
bins. Yeah, we used to sit in on plastic bins.
Yeah.
Back when we were jokes.
But we've
Cats.
upgraded to
Now,
a table that we didn't
episode
realize
5.
was in the house. So.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, it's been here the whole time. It's not even new. We just forgot about
Episode
it.
5.
Episode 5.
We've made it. That's when you
Yeah,
know you've
that's-
made it.
That's the period when either you die or you make it to episode 5, and we've
That's
made
right.
it to
We made
episode
it
5.
past. We've lived. We made it
How's
this
your,
far.
how's your week going?
It's good. It's so good.
That's good.
No, I mean, it's fine.
Not actually good though. I mean,
It's
but really, it kind of sucks. But it's fine.
Yeah.
No, it's good.
But, one thing I did want to talk about was how Merriam-Webster said that their 2017 word of the year was feminism.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
I did not.
Fucking great. So
That's amazing.
yeah, it was the top look up throughout the year. So when I think of it, I think that like women are telling men what feminism means, and they're like, I don't know about that, and then they go look it up
Yeah.
on Merriam-Webster.
Yeah.
So
And
I hope that's not the case, but I think it's good that people are learning more about it.
I feel like I've been in this situation a lot this past year, and actually this week already. Again, this has happened, but it's like those things where you're happy about it, but also you kind of are like, is it bad that it's 2017 and people are just now
Yes.
mostly Googling? I mean, I don't know.
I think
you know?
the answer is yes, but I also think it's better than like them, never finding out.
This is
about
true.
it.
This is true. This is very, very true.
Yeah.
So it's good. We're happy about it. I celebrate that.
Yes.
I'll drink some wine to it later.
Yes.
I'm very happy. I've been having a weird thing happen at my house
Oh boy.
that is only concerns me and is not like useful knowledge like you just shared. But I watch my dogs all day on a camera. You know this.
That's right.
A live feed of my dogs, and it's a 2-way audio camera so that I can talk to them when they're barking and make them stop. But someone has been knocking on my door every day for like the past 3 days. The first day was just like a normal knock, and I was like, maybe we got a package. And then the second day, it was like a banging knock.
Oh no.
And then it happened again today. Someone knocked,
ew,
and then
ew.
it sounded like they yelled something, and I was like, maintenance maybe? Because sometimes, it's kind of like, I don't know why this really doesn't happen, but whenever you say in hotel, someone knocks and they're like housekeeping.
Yeah.
So I was like, maybe maintenance is doing that, but also,
Right.
I don't know why
creepy.
maintenance would be coming and trying to come into our apartment when no one has there hasn't been any letter sent about some need for maintenance to come in the apartment, and I haven't asked them to come in for any reason, so I'm not sure why. But yeah, someone's just knocking on our door. And then last night something else happened, and I don't know what time it was because I didn't want to look at my phone and wake myself up more. I wanted to try to go back to sleep, so I have no idea what time it was. It could have been like 10:30 at night because I was already
right.
asleep by then. But some guy yelled, oh no, Danny, what was that person yelling in the middle of the night last night? What did they yell?
I'm sorry.
Don't touch me?
Yeah, you're not a good person.
Yeah, so and it sounded like they were yelling, running down the hallway, which is like right in front of our door, yelling that like so loud. And then they were outside like a second fucking later, right? It didn't seem like they even had time to go outside, but they went from being in our hallway yelling to being outside of our window, which is on the other side of our room, to yelling. I'm not a good person. My boyfriend's not a good person.
You're not a good person.
You're not a good person.
Oh, no.
I'm not sure if it's the boyfriend or not. But it was just the weirdest thing. And then it stopped, like, almost immediately after it started.
That is fucking weird. I think you guys might have ghosts?
That would be
Mark.
amazing. If that was our ghost, because it definitely sounded like a gay man, right? Or was that just me?
It was a haunted game.
It was,
Oh my God.
It was a gay man ghost yelling about people not being good. If we just had like a gay, like, judgmental ghost, it was just
That'd be awesome.
you're not a good person. Your shoes don't match your clothes today.
Oh my God.
That would be the best.
Oh man.
That would be like amazing. Because I'm
Yeah.
always scared I'm gonna get like some sort of demon haunting situation.
Right.
You know, that's
Of course.
scary.
Of course.
But if it's that kind of
wouldn't?
haunting,
That'd be
like,
fun.
one, I'll be a millionaire.
yeah.
You make
first
so
off.
much money off of
For
that.
sure. Yeah.
And that's like the
Yeah.
first thing you should be asking yourself when you do anything. How much money can I make off of this?
That's true. It's a good piece of advice.
Should we have kids? I don't know. How much money will we make off of that?
Yeah.
That's
But
just,
that is, you have some creepy ass shit going on here.
I know, I really I kinda like
spooky.
it.
I like it.
I like it when I'm telling the stories later.
Yeah.
I don't like it when it wakes me up in the middle of the night and we're like, what
Yeah.
the fuck is happening?
I know, that's pretty scary.
Yeah.
But they do make good stories, so.
They do. I have no idea how that person got from in our hallway to outside so quickly.
That sounds like a demon.
Yeah.
That sounds like a demon to me.
Okay. Well, I've always known that all the years of YouTube, I was just headed for
Oh.
a demon. But
I have not delved into that part of YouTube, but
girl, you got
know.
it. No,
I
you
will
don't have to. Actually,
okay.
you don't like
No,
scary
thank
stuff.
you.
I enjoy.
I'm getting
scares.
better with it, but I get very stressed out.
Really? You should not live in this building then. So many ghosts running around.
Well, I'm glad you're okay.
Thanks. I do feel like this apartment looks like an old hotel. You know?
It totally does. Yeah, because it's like really, you could imagine this room being a hotel room.
Yeah. And there's like weird things, like our bathroom door has gold letters that say bathroom on it. And it's like, why would you put that in someone's house? That doesn't
Right.
make sense.
Yeah.
And there's all these tiny cabinets. I don't know if you've noticed them, but they're like tiny cabinets. There's one right outside the store over here. And it's just like a teeny tiny... drop something. It's just like a teeny tiny door, and you open it, and it's like 2 inches of a cabinet. Why is
What do you
it
put in there?
I don't know. I put like stuffed figurines. I don't know.
My precious moment.
Oh, precious moments. I remember those. I used to color in those coloring books.
Aw.
The memories. Sweet memories. Okay, so listen.
I'm listening.
We have to get into
Let's do
this.
it.
I have a large stack of papers in front of
It's
me
huge.
right now. It's a lot of information. This episode started with a Wired article that came out in like October, I think. I've been sitting on it for a while because we didn't record for a bit, and then I was gonna share it on an episode that we recorded, and then I was like, this is kind of good, and maybe I should use it as my episode, and then I didn't share it, and then it was your episode, and so it's been like for fucking ever, basically.
Okay. So
I know you
don't
needed
fuck
all
it
that
up.
background. But this Wired article is on the modern redesign of the speculum. And a speculum, for those without vaginas, is a device that is used to inspect the cervix in like gynecological exams.
I
It's a thing.
have a vagina and I've never heard that word.
Yeah, so it's been inside you, which is strange, isn't
That is
it?
weird, yeah.
Multiple times.
It's true. Yeah. That's
So it's a thing that they put inside and crank open.
right. Yeah, literally.
You know,
yes.
they do. They crank it open, and
Yeah.
then it's awful and uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I'm
yeah,
getting
yeah.
ahead though of the story.
Okay.
So one of the designers on the project, on this redesign project, her name is Haley Stewart, and she works for a company called Frog, I believe. I put her quote in here because I feel it just makes you feel like you're in the room when it happens.
Oh boy.
So you're literally in the stirrups with that sound, a loud, painful cranking noise, and it's like, excuse my language, but what the fuck?
Oh, it
Yeah.
is. It is.
It
It's like
is.
you can't see anything that goes on down there, and you're just feeling all this stuff, so you're just speculating what
hearing
the
these
fuck's-
fucking noises.
Yeah, it's oh god. It's like if I could watch it, I guess I would, because I would understand what's going on. But when you hear things and you
Yeah.
can't see anything, you're just like praying to God.
And like you see the device, before. Like you see them like get it off the counter, and it's like not pretty. It does
not like, oh,
look.
I should stick that in
Yeah,
there.
like, oh, I can't wait for that to go inside me.
Yeah, exactly.
That looks so fun. And then you're like sitting on that god awful sticky white paper.
Yes.
And it's like all like just every bit of your ass cheek is just like stuck to it. And they're like, so could you move around a ton? And you're like, sure. And it's so,
it's just a mess.
I mean, you know, your feet in stirrups. Like, what?
I know.
Is there a worse time and place to have something like that stuck inside you? No, I don't think there is. No. That's an accurate answer. You know, and so, yeah, they fucking pry you open with this cold metal thing is basically what we're getting to.
Yes, yeah.
In this.
Yeah.
The whole
well, they
story.
also, didn't they, like, used to be metal, but now a lot of them are plastic, I
Yeah,
think?
so it's like, went from being, there's some I think are still metal, but plastic is the, I think, more common one now just because those are disposable.
Right.
So they don't have to like go through all the work to sanitize it every single time. But I think there definitely are still people who use metal ones, which seems way worse to me than plastic. I think I would prefer plastic.
Yes.
Yeah. So the current design of the speculum, and this is the one right now, I know I said current, but I want to be clear, right now.
Yes.
Dates back to the 1840s.
Wow.
Yeah. So, other than updating the materials, like you said, so when they were originally created, they were made out of pewter, which is just a different kind of metal.
Okay.
And then they were made from stainless steel, and now like kind of plastic stainless steel is what you find.
Right.
You know, but other than that, yeah, pretty much just an 1840s device. They're just popping up in your.
Oh my god.
Hoo-ha.
I had no idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, almost identical to the one from 150 years ago. No biggie.
Fuck.
So this woman Haley Stewart, and then a woman named Sahana Kumar, who is an interaction designer, they decided that they wanted to redesign the speculum for the 21st century. Mm-hmm. No big deal. So I got to like 4 paragraphs in this Wired article, and that's when I was like, I am doing this for the next episode.
For sure.
Although there is a dive. There's a catch to this. I mean, not a dive. That's a weird saying that doesn't exist.
If you were wondering.
I'm just gonna start replacing that word with all kinds of like action verbs. Like, there's a put to this. You have to talk about. So this episode, get it out now, because this episode, and I want to say this for everyone listening as well, just in case, you know, I'm not sure if this counts as being triggering, but it could be in some ways. This is a very heavy episode, and it does deal with a lot of very serious issues, and really one, which is racism. So just to put that out there now, yeah, the history of modern gynecology is extremely awful and extremely racist. And are you ready?
God, yep.
Let's do this.
Let's do it.
Nervous. Okay.
Oh.
Okay. So James Marin, or Marone, I'm not sure how you say it, Sims was born in South Carolina on January 25th, 1813. He remained in South Carolina until 1834, when he moved to Philadelphia to attend the Jefferson Medical College. And according to the New York Times, he was not destined for greatness. I don't know how they discern that, but I'm going with it because they're the New York Times. Yeah, they have their sources.
That guy? No.
He's not going
I don't
anywhere.
see it happening for him.
It's just, might as well just go work at McDonald's, kid. It's over for you. But apparently he was a lackluster student, and he showed little ambition after receiving his medical degree. Nevertheless, in 1840, he ended up in Montgomery, Alabama with his wife, and he took up surgery and gynecology. So at this time in 1840, treating women, it was considered tasteful, or distasteful, not tasteful, the opposite of tasteful, distasteful. And it was rarely done, which is like fucking reliving Comstock right now, of course.
Oh, Lord.
It was.
Yeah.
You know, the social norms regarded the study and examination of the female reproductive anatomy just to be immoral, which makes zero sense. Like, I just don't get it, because, like, didn't God create bodies? And I'm assuming it has to do with Christianity, and that's why they found it to be immoral. Maybe not, though.
Right.
But because of this, the entire field of gynecology was just really undeveloped. It was, or underdeveloped more, and it was unexplored, and really they basically made no progress in doing anything with it at all. So when doctors were trained to deliver babies in medical medical schools, they did it using dummies. And they wouldn't actually see like a real woman or her vagina until they went out into the world as doctors and opened their own practices. So,
Oh my god.
let that sink in for a second.
Holy shit.
You just go into the doctor's office. We've been through the process, right? Naked, sticky paper,
Yeah.
stirrups,
Yeah.
and then like
A man who has never seen a female
guy just
vagina.
leans out and he's just
Presumably
like,
has never seen a vagina in his life.
never. I'm sure if he has seen it in the more personal context, he probably didn't study it.
Right.
very
No, they never do.
We're just like salty. Love it.
But
Yeah.
God, that is terrifying. To be what it's like they're like the guinea pigs of
Yeah.
gynecology, these women. It's like, can you fucking imagine? That's horrible.
Yeah. He just
Oh,
like leans out
God.
and it's just like, oh, that's where that is.
Yeah.
And it's just like, cool, great, glad you're down there.
Because when they're learning on like a mannequin or something, they're like, that's about where this thing goes, and it's all approximations, and that's shitty. That's shitty.
Yeah, nothing
I
feels
hate
better
that.
than being like naked with all your business out there, knowing that someone who has no idea what they're doing is just poking about. I don't like it.
God.
Yeah. So with all of this in mind, it's not really surprising that Sims didn't have any formal background in gynecology prior to beginning his own practice in Alabama. Speaking of Alabama, this has nothing to do with the episode. I just want to share this little antidote. Antidote? That's how you say it.
Anecdote.
Anecdote. Damn it.
Antidote is like what stops the poison.
Love it. Well, maybe I did mean antidote.
Yes.
No, I didn't. I mean, so anyways, I was on the phone with my grandma and she was talking about something like why she wasn't getting a Christmas tree this year. It was a riveting conversation, but no, she said something about flares, and I was like, flares? And she just kept saying flares. And I was like, what are you talking about, flares? It turns out she was saying flowers. That was just her accent. And she was like, that's what I said, flowers. They're like flares. And I was like, oh, okay, now I see it. I see it now. But I was seriously so confused for like a solid 5 minutes of like, why are you talking about flares? Why do you have flares? So yeah, that's my
sweet.
grandma. And that's, I mean, technically that's Georgia, but close enough.
Right, that's true.
So just so you know, a man who has never seen a vagina and is now poking about yours probably also calls flowers flares. So
Yeah.
it's just, context for you. So what a normal appointment with Dr. Sims looks like is something like a woman would come in, maybe she's got like an injured pelvis or retroverted uterus. They were like, maybe she fell off a horse. And I was like, cool.
What's a
'cause that's-
retroverted uterus?
I don't know. I think it's just like kind of like like pointing slightly off.
Oh.
I don't know that that's true though. But I
it
read
sounds
something
like it's
about
Inside
someone
Out.
having like that actually
That's
does.
what it sounds like.
It does
but
sound like that.
Sounds scary.
I think it means that it's like slightly off, like kiltered.
Okay.
Like it moved a little.
Right.
I don't know how it moves. That seems
Yeah.
wrong. Like it shouldn't move, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know.
But and they thought that she fell off of a horse.
Well, that was just like maybe that's what happened.
Oh.
Maybe she fell off a horse.
And maybe that's what
In this story, she fell off her horse and retroverted her uterus.
Oh, that's crazy.
This is what it was like in 1840.
When you fall off your horse.
When you're just ladies falling off their horses left and right. So, what he would do is like he would place her in a knee to chest position, and then he would insert his finger into the vagina, and then that would trigger something called full distension of the vagina, which I think just means it loosens up
Right,
a bit
that's what it
and
sounds
whatever. That makes sense. And then that would just allow him to like see the vagina clearly. I don't get it. I don't understand how that works.
No,
I'm not
I don't
seeing
think that. Yeah, it's not like
Did he
something
think
goes
that
in
the
there and
vagina
it
like
all just opens
ended?
up.
Like maybe he thought the vagina ended like half an inch in, and like that's why
Like the
he was-
whole finger
like
is the whole thing.
It's like, oh, now I can see the whole thing, and it's like, no, there's so much more in there. Because I don't understand how could you see that far in there.
So did he like put his finger in, took it out, and then it just stayed open or something? Or was it like he had his finger in and he was like kind of opening it with his fingers?
Oh god, that's
maybe?
I don't know, because this is singular finger right now. now.
Yeah.
So it's like how, I don't know if it was an in-out situation, and then you like need a chest,
then
which
you,
to me
like-
feels more butt than, but I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
It's a mystery.
yeah. Because also her knees to her chest, so it's maybe that. So I don't know, maybe he just like pulls the lips or the labia away and then is like, I don't know. I don't like thinking about it. I'm really trying to understand.
I want to understand, but I also
Yeah.
don't want to understand.
Yeah, because that sounds horrible.
Yeah, I don't like it. I
I
don't.
have a man who doesn't know what he's
So,
doing.
but
Ugh.
this with him and his finger and the air distension thing, it was his inspiration for developing a precursor to the modern speculum,
Right.
which was basically a pewter spoon and some strategically placed mirrors. So that was just going up there, a spoon and some mirrors.
So just a regular old spoon.
I mean, other than the pewter part, it did not specify anything other than a spoon.
That's
And I don't know, like spoons in the 1840s, were they large? Were they small? What's the size of a spoon? An 1840s spoon? And like, what do you mean strategically placed mirrors?
I know.
Where were they? And on what?
I know. And
I don't
he's
like
just
it.
like looking at himself.
Just poking it with his finger, and he's just actually holding the spoon up, looking at his own face. He would.
I hate him. I hate him already.
Okay, the Sims vaginal speculum aided in his vaginal examinations and during surgery, and there's also a rectal examination position that's named after him, and this I don't understand at all. So it's where a patient is on their left side with the right knee flexed against the abdomen. I don't know why I put an O in the end. Abdomen, and the left knee is slightly flexed. And is that like bent?
Flexed?
I think that means bent. Because if you're doing it against your abdomen, it has to be bent. Yeah, so I don't understand how that opens the viewpoint to the butthole.
So right knee to the
chest.
To the chest.
Or, the whole, any
Right.
upper body area, depending on where your leg kind of lands, I guess. But, yeah.
And then your left knee is
Just slightly bent. But you're laying on your left side.
on your left side. Okay, so it's kind of like a yoga pose. It sounds
the
like
history
a
of yoga. It all
spinal
came from
twist or something.
It all came from rectal exams.
Probably.
Probably,
They needed
yeah.
to fucking chill out after that, I bet. It's fucking nerve-wracking. God.
So yeah, this rectal position doesn't really have anything to do with what I'm going to talk to you about. And I don't even understand it. I just kind of thought if someone had a rectal position named after them, that it was worth just like bringing up.
Oh,
'cause
absolutely.
Why wouldn't you?
And I'm glad you did.
Yeah. Okay, so today,
Wait, can I ask what
Yeah.
rectal positioning, like, is that to see into the butthole?
yeah, I think
Okay,
so. I
just
think it's
totally
to get good
clarifying.
access
Just really wanted
to the butthole.
make sure.
Yeah.
Got it. Access to it, like, in a sexual way
No,
or
I don't
in
think so.
a
Well, I mean,
doctor way?
I'm not saying
Okay.
you couldn't take it to the bedroom, but I think
Right.
at this moment in time, we're talking doctor way.
Okay.
So
Got
if you
it.
were like, I fell off my horse again.
Oh,
Again. I think I have hemorrhoids from it. Because anything can happen back in the 1840s on a horse.
Yeah.
And you're like, I think I have hemorrhoids. He'd be like, great, get in the Sims
Assume the position, yeah.
Assume the Sims position,
Oh,
and
God.
let's look at that rectum. Let's
That's-
rectally examine you.
Yeah, that's wild that it's named after him. That's good, though. I do like
Good
that.
for him. Good for him.
Good for him.
Whatever.
Really successful
Whatever.
man. Anyway.
So today, Sims is known as the father of modern gynecology. He developed pioneering tools and surgical techniques related to women's reproductive health care, including the eventual invention of the modern speculum, not just the DIY spoon one. We got to like the real thing, as well as forming a technique to repair. Oh, this is gonna be hard. I gotta say this though. I'm gonna say it once, and I'm gonna start calling it something else.
Okay.
Because I don't want to say it again.
Yeah.
I couldn't. No, it doesn't matter. I said antidote earlier, so what else could go wrong? Vesicoval. No, one more time.
Take two.
Vesicovaginal fistula.
Whoa.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say that again, so I hope you heard it.
Like a superhero, though.
Whew. I'm gonna tell you what it is.
Oh no!
So I'm about to tell you what it is, and I'm gonna tell you what it is in vivid fucking detail.
Okay, maybe I don't.
Because
want to
it's like
be a superhero.
batshit fucking crazy what this is.
Oof.
It's not really a problem anymore in our country necessarily, and not in most developed countries, because just it happens during childbirth. So we have come so far with that process, that whole childbirthing process, that we don't really have this problem. But it is a problem in a lot of developing countries still, and it's fucked. And also, I'm just gonna start calling it VF because I don't want to say that again, and that's stressful.
Yeah.
I can't take that kind of stress right now. Okay, so
You
I'm
said
sorry.
it. Sorry. You said it was a disease or a disorder or like
It's I'm gonna call it condition because I want to find a good word for it.
Right. Okay.
So here's the explanation of what it is, so in more detail. So it was a common 19th century childbirth complication, and it occurred when a woman's bladder, cervix, and vagina become trapped between the fetal skull and the woman's pelvis. I wish I had like a diagram with a pointer or a laser, but I don't.
Shit. Okay.
So I'm gonna say it again: bladder, cervix, vagina.
Okay.
Are trapped between a baby skull and the pelvis.
Okay, so the pelvis is the lower part of the entrapment. If I'm
Yes,
of that,
it would
and
have
then
to
there's
be
like
the
a
baby
above
whole
the head,
baby.
a fucking so the whole baby, not just the skull. Then?
Well, it said skull, but I'd imagine it would depend. Well, so because since it happens during childbirth, it probably is the skull because that babies typically come out head first.
Okay. So everything is like squished.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So the baby's just making its way out, and it just fucking wrecks shop. The whole thing.
It's shut down.
Okay, so
Lord.
what this does when this happens is it cuts off the blood flow and it kills the tissues, and then that tissue sheds off and it leaves a hole. So it's kind of like it creates this tear between the vagina and the bladder.
Okay.
So then when urine starts to form, it just kind of it just leaks out of the vaginal opening. So you have this continuous stream of urine just leaking out of your vagina.
Oh my god.
And again, for those without vaginas, just in case, this needs to be stated, that is not where urine comes out of.
Right.
On a normal basis. Doesn't come out of the vagina ever. That's not where we pee from. So just so we know, not a normal thing. And it's like an uncontrollable, just all the time. So, so of course, having suffered from VF, it would be extremely difficult to keep your personal hygiene up because you can't stop it, and that would lead to marginalization from society. You would have this vaginal irritation, there's loss and even loss of vaginal function, and then just constant pain and pee's just leaking all over the place. And it's like I hate to tell you this, but there's an even worse one, which is rectovaginal fistulas.
Okay.
And that's basically where the tear happens between the vagina and rectum. So instead of urine, it's like flatulence and feces leaking out. So listen,
that sounds awful.
Fuck pregnancy. Not even once,
Oh, my God.
No growing tiny humans anymore. If you even
save yourself.
No, yeah. Just don't even, if men even come near you with their penises, chop them off and burn them. Run away. It's not worth it.
We need to band together as women.
Yeah. I mean, I know this isn't a problem anymore, but you never know. And is it really?
I know,
worth
right?
it?
If it was a problem that, I don't know, I would still think it occurs some places.
Oh, it does. Yeah, that was true. What I said was only accurate for the United States or European countries, and
God.
But in developing countries, it is.
That's awful.
Yeah,
that's fucking awful. Oh my God.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was. I mean, again, I just wanted you to know. like, no, I'm just gonna keep going.
Yep, that's fine.
So
I just wanted you to know
we're gonna go back
this
to
horrible,
Sims
horrible
now.
shit exists.
Sorry.
It's fine.
Back to Sims. So in order to survive financially in 1840, and I was just like assuming like what it takes to survive in 1840 is probably like $20 and a horse. So it's like
I know it's true.
just take one from the chick with the retroverted uterus. She doesn't even want hers
can't-
anymore.
she can't
She can't even
anymore.
get on
I
it
know.
anymore. In order to survive financially, back to the facts here. I'm all facts over here. Sims also worked as a plantation physician, which meant that he provided medical care to enslaved people on plantations. And this is where we're really getting into the dark history behind Sims
Right.
And modern gynecology as a whole. And I wanted to give a shout out because I want to make sure I say this, that I got a lot of information that I'm about to share is from the NPR podcast Hidden Brain.
That's right.
And I didn't use all of it. So, go listen to it because it's really, really good. I think I can't remember the name of the episode, but maybe we'll share it or something.
yeah,
But
we can
it's
post
super good. But on the episode of Hidden Brain, they talked to a woman named Vanessa Northington Gamble, and she's a physician and medical historian at the George Washington University. And so she's kind of giving a lot of this information about who Sims is. And, he talking about how he did invent techniques that help women today, and he did treat slaves as well as high society women, and he also at one point treated the Empress Eugene, who was the last empress of France. I don't know if she was like in fucking Alabama or if he went to France for some reason. It's like I'm not really sure how that happened.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Yeah, they just called him up. I don't know.
Like
If you're the Empress, though, I feel like if you hear about someone doing gynecology, and not a lot of people are,
That's
you'd be
true.
like,
That could
fly
be
that.
true.
Well, you can't fly him. Shit. Oh, Lord. Oh, no.
on a late 1800s plane for me and fly him out.
Attach
Honestly,
him to a raven.
if you hadn't been like, you can't fly him out, I probably just wouldn't have even noticed that you said
Take a
that at all.
flight. Oh, my God. Probably
Yeah.
couldn't.
Get on your horse and ride across the ocean
That's
and
right.
get in my vagina, please.
Yes.
So all of these things about him are very widely known. They're very widely talked about, but something that isn't, is that in 1845, Sims started to conduct experiments on enslaved women to treat vaginal problems. The worst part, and not worst part because all of it's awful, but extra awful, is that he performed these procedures on them without any anesthetics. So, he used enslaved women as subjects in his surgical breakthroughs, and he developed techniques that are the basis for modern vaginal surgery today. But the way he got there it's absolutely awful. So, remember the fistula thing? I'm not willing to say again, the vaginal one.
VF.
So VF.
All right, gotcha.
So the way he reached the discovery of how to repair VF, which was something that at the time there was no effective cure or treatment for. The way he did this was by conducting experiments, a series of experiments from 1845 to 1846. I actually think that later in here I corrected myself, and I'm pretty sure it went to 1848, but I can't remember now. And now that I'm seeing it, I'm like questioning myself, so I don't know. It was, I think, a couple years. But because the condition was really highly stigmatized and really, really dangerous for women, as it was, because it's so much pain. It's just like there's a social aspect to it, but also like the toll that it would take on you physically is awful.
Right.
And women are having so many kids that they're just all increasing their chances of it happening to them.
Right.
I don't know how many times I have to tell you, ladies. No more children. So, like, there's a side to the story that is Sims upholding, like, his Hippocratic oath. He's taking these women on as patients. He is helping pave the way for something that will be useful today. But then the other side of that story is that he wanted to be a trailblazing researcher, and in turn, he treated enslaved women and their bodies like things that he just kind of used for scientific discovery. And as slaves, they didn't have the power to really consent to that. Like that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
You know, that's not something that you could consider. You just couldn't even rightfully or honestly say that they ever gave consent for that, because it wouldn't have been possible.
Exactly.
For them not to do it. You know, it's so anyways, so adding yet another layer onto them being seen and treated as property, to slave owners, these women were valued for production and reproduction, which is just how much can they work and then how many enslaved children can they provide. So having VS would have affected both of those things dramatically. So that's kind of, I think, why so many plantation owners would have been pushing women to him to have him try to solve that problem for them. So it's not out of the obviously goodness of their hearts or anything.
Right.
It all has some sort of, you know, double meaning for them, of course.
Right.
And a ton of modern historians who look at his work, like the development of the technique to fix VF, they see it as unethical, which is like, yeah.
Yes,
fair, definitely, 100%.
Right. Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
I don't think there's. I don't know how you can argue that.
Right.
Like where do you even stand on the other side of that? Yeah, there are people who do so.
Lord.
I'm sure we'll get there. I try not to go too much into it because I don't really want to shed a lot of light on the people who argue for it, because their argument, I just don't want to share it because it's just, I don't know, it's wrong. It's wrong. It's wrong. They're wrong. We're not talking about them because they're wrong.
Yeah.
So he's been described as a prime example of progress in the medical profession made at the expense of a vulnerable population. So, and it's experimenting to try to figure out the surgical technique did go beyond that year. I was right. I knew it went on longer. I fucking was like, it was more than a year, because I remember just being like, so many times I had to just stop and be like, there just are no words for what the fuck I'm gonna tell you about. It's so between 1845 and 1849, Sims conducted surgical experiments on 10 enslaved women in his backyard hospital, and a lot of those women were not named. There is no record of who they were at all, but each of them did suffer from fistulas, and all of them were completely subject to his surgical experimentation. Three women were identified by name in his records, and this is really where that hidden brain episode shines, because it's very much about these women, and it's really nice. So the three women that were named in his records are Anarcha, because I wrote down it's like anarchy, so I could remember how to pronounce it correctly. Anarcha, that would be it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Betsy and Lucy, those two are easy. I got those right. NPR and the host of Hidden Brain, they kind of decided that like Sims didn't really deserve to be the father of anything, and didn't want to make the story just about him, because there's so much, and I'll get there, that his story goes beyond himself in so many different ways. And so instead they named these women who suffered at his hand the mothers of modern gynecology, which I like much better.
I do like that.
Anarcha, a 17-year-old enslaved woman, had experienced a very traumatic childbirth. Some sources said that she was in labor for up to 3 days. And she actually suffered from both the vaginal and rectal fistulas. So both of them at the same time. So that was just like,
what the fuck?
The pain that she must have been in on a constant basis. It would just be insane. And Sims, when he started doing this in 1845, he did not know how to safely and cleanly and accurately repair any of these things. And for a long time, his surgeries did not work, which is why they went on for 1946. So 3 years. And it's not because he did one thing right. Like, he didn't spend 3 years figuring out a ton of different stuff. It was just the one thing he was trying to figure out how to get right. And he spent those years operating / experimenting, because really that's what this was a trial and error thing. So that's really all he was doing. On Anarcha 30 times. over 3 years.
Oh my god.
Yeah, 30 times before her fistula repair was declared a success. And what he tried to do was he tried to use sutures to close the tears, and that would have been just unbelievably painful.
What is that?
Sutures, like stitching it up.
Oh. Oof.
So it would have been unbelievably painful, and he did this for all 3 women listed, and probably all 10 of them.
Yeah.
But because there's only really records of the 3,
Right.
we know at least that this was his method for all 3 of them. And anesthesia was available. But he chose to not use it.
What?
On any of his procedures.
Why?
With enslaved women. He claimed that anesthesia was not fully accepted in surgical practices, and that he was unaware of the use of ether as one, but ether had been an anesthetic for as early as the beginning of 1842. So 4 years before he would have started this. So as a doctor, feel as though you would have known.
Right.
But this isn't the only reasoning that some people give as to why he would choose not to use anesthetics. The physician and medical historian that I was talking about from Hidden Brain, Vanessa Northington Gamble, she talks about this belief that at the time, sorry, it's just insane. It's insane. And it's like, okay. So there was this belief at the time that black people did not feel pain the same way that white people did, especially black women.
Wow.
That they were not vulnerable to pain, and that they had suffered pain in other parts of their lives, and basically that they could just ignore it, like that they just had the power to ignore any pain that was felt. He wrote specifically about Lucy, and how Lucy almost felt as if she was going to die, that she cried out in so much pain during these surgeries, and at the same time he wrote that the women wanted to have the surgeries because they didn't want to live with that condition anymore. But it's like, those are your 2 fucking options. Like, that's the 2 options that you're giving them. It's like fucking going into a hospital and then being like, well, you can go home with the burn marks or we can cut off your arm. Like, that's like your options there. And it's like, why can't you just, find a way to ethically and humanely help them?
Oh my god.
It's not,
God, that's horrifying.
But
oh my god.
To really be honest about it, like, there is no way to know if these 10 women, like, I can totally understand not wanting to live with the fistulas. Like, it's awful. It sounds awful. It sounds like it would literally affect every part of your life and make everything awful, and you would constantly be in pain. But there's not really any, there's no way to know if these 10 women wanted it, because while Sims wrote about it, he wrote about one woman clamorously wanting to have the surgery, that they wanted to be cured, but there is at no point any record or at any point where it wasn't even taken into consideration their own words. So he everything is being translated by Sims, and
of course,
how can you trust someone who is in this for their own self-interest? I mean, he wanted to be, a trailblazer, and he wanted to be the person who figured it out, and, so.
At what fucking cost?
Yeah, honestly, at what fucking cost? And for Lucy, she actually almost did die from a, I don't know if you call this a disease but it's called septicemia, septicemia. I don't know, but it basically it's what happens when a person's body responds to an infection. The way that the body responds actually ends up injuring its own tissues and organs.
Fuck.
So, at the time, Sims had he had gained this reputation as a researcher, as someone who was, making big waves and trying to figure out something that was probably affecting so many women in the country and was a huge problem, that he started actually inviting other physicians to watch him perform surgeries. So he operated on Lucy without anesthetics in front of 12 doctors.
Oh my God.
And at that time, that particular experiment, it consisted of him using a sponge to wipe urine from the bladder during the procedure, and then he left that sponge in her urethra. It said urethra and bladder, so I'm not sure. But and that's, having that sponge inside of her body is what caused her to contract the septicemia. I wish I had learned how to say these words. They're so hard. I forget how hard medical words are.
Ugh.
And also names and places and normal words like antidote. God damn it.
God.
So, of course, with the nature of what these procedures were, the women were operated on naked. So Gamble, the medical historian, she pointed out that, like, it's not just about the pain, but also about how these women were having their dignity kind of ripped away from them, because they're just in a crowd, and I mean, a room full of white men standing there watching you naked, screaming in pain, while another one treats you like you're, like a thing, like you're an experimental subject, not like a person.
Exactly.
So,
fuck.
In this episode, they also had a poet and a professor of gender and women's studies. Her name is Bettina Judd. Bettina Judd, sorry. I just, like, she read some of her poetry, which I only took one line from it, but if you want to hear the whole thing, which you should, go listen to the Hidden Brain episode. But she talks about kind of her own experience with hospital, and she ties it to Sims and what these three women went through, and the other women, of course, who remain unnamed. But the line I pulled out is, Sim invents the speculum, I invent the wincing, the if you must of it, the looking away. So it just, like, really kind of paints that picture of, like, it's awful. And I'm sure that I'm not alone in having the thought, while Sims is talking about all these reasons why he didn't use anesthetics, why, or, like, how he didn't know about ether, all the stuff that, like, it wouldn't be surprising to anyone, I think, to have the thought, this would not be the case if this were a white woman laying on the table.
Oh,
that's,
my God.
It just wouldn't, and you would be correct, of course.
Right.
Because why wouldn't you be? So Sims did treat white women. And when he did it with an anesthetic. And in the 1850s, he left Alabama and he moved to New York. So by then, by the, what was it, 1849, by 1849, he had perfected the technique of fixing the fistulas. And so in 1850, when he left Alabama, when he went to New York, it said for health reasons is why he moved to New York, but he started a women's hospital when he got there, like 5 years later in 1855. And he gained this reputation as an excellent surgeon. He became the president of the American Medical Association, and he treated white women with a technique that he had perfected on the bodies of black women. So according to, why do I write all these hard names? According to Dorinda I'm sorry, I don't know how to say her last name. Someone from the University of Alabama. Sims did perform some procedures on white women without anesthetics, and this is in quote because I just wanted to keep it in the actual words, but many white women came to Sims for treatment of vesicovaginal fistulas after the successful operation on anarcha, and I feel like I'm saying it wrong. Anarcha. anarchy is what it sounded like. God, I wrote it down. I still can't do it right. And I interrupted my quote. So after her successful operation, however, none of them, due to the pain, were able to endure a single operation.
Wow.
Yeah, she had 30 until he got it right. She had 30 unsuccessful, or 29 unsuccessful operations, and this is stating that the white women who did do it, who did not get any anesthetics, couldn't make it through one, that he was doing the right way.
Wow. And I imagine if the white woman was screaming, he would stop. But
yeah.
if the black woman
Oh yeah.
was screaming,
I'm absolutely positively sure that when the white women who came to them couldn't handle it, they did. They asked him to stop. He did, and I'm sure. How could you not? Any person who is being exposed to as much pain as the 10 enslaved women he experimented on would have felt. Like, there is no reaction but to ask someone to stop. Like, there is no, the Journal of Medical Ethics, it reports a case study of one white woman whose fistula was repaired by Sims without the use of anesthesia in a series of 3 operations that were carried out in 1849, which is right around when he kind of successfully was able to do it. One white woman who was completely willing, who with full consent, without any pressure or any commands from anyone else, was able to endure what 12 or 10 African American enslaved women were forced to do again and again and again, with no free will, basically.
Right. But I don't even see her as a hero.
Oh God, no. I mean,
it's kind of like, I can do it. I mean, I'm sure she endured a lot of pain and all that.
Yeah, I'm sure she did, but no, it's nothing.
And also, it was after he had, not to minimize her pain or whatever, but it was after he had experimented and tried all of these horrible, awful things to these 10
Yeah,
women,
I mean,
it's...
yeah, I don't think you're wrong to... I mean, it's just not the same. The credit can only go to the enslaved women who were forced to do that, who, the things that we benefit from every day, even still, like, a lot of women in developing countries are still benefiting from it, was completely and totally developed on the back of these women, and unwillingly, and it's awful. So some people, because, this is like a world where we're allowed to have opinions or whatever. Some people have opposition to the idea that Sims gave any white women anesthetics at all. There's this guy, and I didn't include his name because I don't like him. And he is like
journalism.
Everyone. Yeah, honestly, I decided I had it and then I erased it because I was like, no, fuck you, I hate you. Because he's literally in like every article that I read about it, whenever it talked about people who disagree with anyone who is, shedding any sort of bad light on Sims, he was like the number one fucking person, and I was like, fuck you. So, writer, unnamed, he was also a writer for the Journal of Medical Ethics, stated, as of 1857, that Sims did not use anesthesia to perform vistula surgery on white women, and he was citing a public lecture that Sims gave to the New York Academy of Medicine, where he said that he never used anesthesia for fistula surgery because, and this is in quotes, because they are not painful enough to justify the trouble and risk attending their administration.
Whoa.
one, how the fuck would you know that? Like, how would you know that? Do
In
you
no
have a
universe.
vagina? Have you had a child? Did it fucking wreck all your shit? How do you fucking know? And also, you literally wrote in a book that a woman thought she was going to die from the pain of it.
Yeah.
And you're fucking saying this?
That is fucking wild.
And I also think it's bullshit. Like, I think it's untrue. I think
I agree.
if a higher class or even middle class or even upper lower class woman walks into an office and said, I need this, but I want anesthesia, here's my money, do it. You fucking would. You fucking would do it. You would do it. What are you going to say? No, you're not. Lies.
God.
So his story really is just full of this fucking back and forth of, but like, you know, these historians, these ethicists saying his actions were unethical, they were awful, and then these other people, like, not even people, just because it goes beyond just people. There's an inscription near his birthplace that deemed him a blessing and a benefactor to women.
Oh my God.
Fucking what?
How?
Like, but also, yeah, I like, also, yes, he has developed a process that is continuing to help women, but also no, because the cost in which you got there, you can't just choose the good part.
No.
And no, I don't fucking care if these things are helping people. I definitely still blessing and benefactor to women. No on that part. No, definitely no. So other than his work being the basis for modern gynecology, the history of this has a really strong connection to today in several other ways. The biggest and most unbelievably infuriating, crazy, awful, terrible fucking thing is its influence on the unequal medical care that African Americans still receive today. So when Black patients have broken bones, when they have cancer, they receive less pain medication than white patients. When Black children have appendicitis, they receive less pain medication than white children. And one of the things that, like, one of the reasons that this is, and this is kind of something that I said earlier, but that was 1840 fucking something, is that many people inaccurately believe that Black people literally have thicker skin than white people and experience less pain.
Holy fuck.
But, like, how could you possibly think that? Like, why? Where? Why? Well, that makes no sense. That makes zero sense. Skin color has nothing to do with human anatomy. Like, okay, so
oh my God.
So this and there's like the Hidden Brain podcast also goes into this, and like it goes into kind of the racism that exists in the American medical field. And it talks about like a John Hopkins video where a woman who had, gosh, I don't want to get it wrong, but I also really can't remember. She has a very well-known affliction that I can't remember, and I don't want to say the wrong thing. But she's talking about how even though she's in a ton of pain, and this is a Black woman talking about how even though she's in a ton of pain, she still gets dressed up and tries to look her best to go to the hospital just because she wants to get just the treatment that she needs and the pain medication that she needs, but she doesn't want to be seen as a Black woman who's just trying to get drugs.
Oh my God.
You know, get access to pain medicine. And it's like, so, you know, it's very much alive and well today, and it all really can be traced back to Sims and his practices and what he did. But if you look at how Sims is referred to in medical textbooks, he's the father of modern gynecology. He's talked about as someone who perfected the surgical technique, and there's just zero mention of his experimental surgeries on enslaved women in his legacy anywhere.
Wow.
And
wow.
It seems like that would be an obvious problem. Like, you can't. That's not how history works. You don't get to choose the parts that you want to be remembered. But somehow, it's just not for everyone. Not everyone thinks it's a problem or a big deal.
He fucking tortured them.
Yeah, he did. 100%.
Oh my god.
And no one's arguing that the progress that he made isn't benefiting women today, that we aren't still using the things that he developed, but at the same time, like, you just can't forget how he got there.
Yeah.
And still today, so many people, for so many people, he is put on a pedestal, and that is actually a literal statement, because there are currently statues memorializing Sims in South Carolina, Montgomery, and Central Park in New York City.
Wow.
Portraits of him hang in medical schools across the country, and there is zero mention of the 10 enslaved women, including Anarcha, Betsy, or Lucy.
Oh my god.
So, it's a current conversation that a lot of people in this country think we should be removing statues of Confederate leaders and soldiers. Right. And that actually, Sims statues became a part of that as well. People were calling for the removal of his statues now, but also in the mid-1970s, when at the rise of, like, the racial and gender equality movements, scholars, even back then, were arguing that Sims used enslaved women as guinea pigs to advance his own career. I'm sorry, I just had a wine burp. That's a terrible moment to have it.
It's really,
sorry, I'm gonna read that line
some
over.
timing. Oh boy. From the top.
Yeah. Scholars were arguing that Sims used slave women as guinea pigs to advance his own career, that his patients were victims of medical experimentation, and he was given the nickname Father Butcher. And all of these scholars who saying all of these things are, posing the question of why. Yeah. Why are his monuments still up, and why are we memorializing him in this way?
Yeah. Fuck.
And even the history and the biographies written on Sims were called into question at that time, because, these are being written by white male doctors who want to make him the hero, who want to create this fantastical, like, past of the history of medicine and the progress that doctors have made. And so it just, you can't trust what they wrote about him. Everything that was written about him was done with a certain, a lighter shade on it, a brighter whatever. I don't know a saying for this appropriate moment, but it was written with a
positive connotation.
There we go. That's good. That works. And there's a New York Times article that really talks about that, and I don't want to go into it too much, because that kind of gets into more political stuff that we're not here for. So, for a lack of a better segue, here we are today, using practically the same speculum for 150 years. But that could all change soon. Because Haley Stewart and Sahana Kumar, the designers from Frog, who are redesigning the speculum, they're hopefully gonna bring some comfort back to our annual exams.
I would love that.
And this is a device that the speculum, just kind of going back to this Wired article, I'm full circling it right now.
Yes. Absolutely.
One review of medical literature found the speculum to be the reason some women avoid going to the gynecologist at all. In 2014, the American College of Physicians actually recommended against pelvic exams, citing the harms, fear, anxiety, embarrassment, pain, and discomfort associated with speculum examinations. And like, yeah, I get it, because almost all of those things happen like
at the same time.
Yeah.
It's overwhelming.
It is overwhelming. It's overwhelming, it's uncomfortable, and it is embarrassing.
Yes.
You know, as many times as you go, as much as you're like, I'm a woman, I'm comfortable with everything down there.
And they're professionals.
They're
even
professionals.
You know,
yeah.
It's still you don't want to go. Ever.
No,
and then
I
you
don't.
walk out of there and you're like, oh, you feel like weird the rest of the day.
You
It's
do.
so odd.
Yeah, and it's just like something that I don't know how to explain. Just that, like the things that you feel while they're doing stuff, it's the weirdest feeling.
It is so odd.
You know, as the gender who. I don't know how to say this in a nice way. Okay, as women, as if you are a straight woman, but also, you know, actually lesbians apply, because, you know, there is also fingers, not just dicks, but we're used to having stuff in that area.
Yeah.
Inside of it.
Yeah.
But the feelings that happen during those examinations, like, oh, they're so weird. They're so weird. And you can feel something scraping inside you and you can feel the weird places that they're reaching to. And it's just, oh, it's so uncomfortable. It's so uncomfortable. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not against it. You need to go. You know, there's a lot of benefit to getting annual exams, to making sure, you know, you're being screened for cancer and anything else. But it's fucking not enjoyable, though.
Sucks.
But apparently the design of the speculum currently is not even really that great for patients or physicians, because doctors have to like stretch the speculum bill so wide, and bills, I mean, like it looks like a duck, like it is like a duck looking thing. So I'm making hand gestures you can't see. But anyways, you have to open the bills of it so wide in order to really be able to see like way back in the cervix, and that's a lot of uncomfortable pressure for the patient, obviously. But this is not the first time that someone has tried to change the speculum. In 2005, a San Francisco-based company patented a design for an inflatable speculum called FemSpec.
Oh my god.
That sounds like a fucking superhero.
That does. FemSpec.
FemSpec.
I like that.
The device was made out of polyurethane, which is the same material that they make condoms out of. And physicians could insert it like a tampon, and then they'd inflate it like a tiny balloon.
Weird.
Right?
Weird.
Listen, I wrote this joke. Now I'm going to read it, okay? It's written now. I'm going to read it.
I'm ready for your joke.
A lot of house party clowns became very interested in medical degrees.
Yeah!
I didn't even care. I wrote it. It was long. I wrote it.
I liked it. I liked it a lot.
Those balloons. I know, I'm sorry. I felt like there needed to be a joke after what we've just all gone through together.
Oof, yeah.
I just felt like we needed a second.
Just a little laugh.
So I'm just thinking of like, you're in there, your feet are in the stirrups, and you just hear like the squeaking of like clown shoes as you like grab something. It's a nice picture. You know, you're like looking and it's like your knees up in the air, and you know your gown's high so you can't really see anything, but you just see like a colored afro wig peeking up above it.
And then afterwards you leave with like a little dog out of a, you know, the thing that was just inside of you.
Or you like, you go to pee and you know how that's a magician though.
When you go to pee and that's a magician. When you pull the tissues out of your vagina.
When it's just like coming and coming and coming. You're
coming
just like,
everywhere. Yeah.
You're just pulling like different color fucking tissues out of your, and they're all attached. You guys get the picture I'm painting here. Although that is a magician, sorry.
That sounds like a nightmare.
I'm mixing up my cheap party entertainment. So there was like a ton of other people who have tried to do that, but that one had the best joke, so I went with that one. Okay. So there's a lot of other ones ones. You can go read about it in this Wired article if you want.
Interesting.
But to just get through, because there's so much information, like fucking Wired is thorough.
Yeah.
But Stewart and Kumar, I just hit the table, sorry. Stewart and Kumar started their redesign journey with a list of things that bothered them in gynecological exams. So it's like the noise, which is like a cranking, like fucking opening a can of beans while they're down there.
Yeah.
How fucking cold it is when they put it inside you.
Yes.
Never fun.
Sucks.
The feeling of it, so like when it's being opened really wide and it's like stretching you open as a person, you're being stretched.
Yes.
I feel like there's like a big dick joke there, but I'm not gonna make it. I'm just gonna say that there was a possibility for it.
That's enough.
I don't even wanna. So then after that, after they made this list of like all the things that suck about it, they got their own set of specula. One was plastic and one was metal, to kind of get the idea of what's going on. And then they realized like how much it looks like a medieval torture device. So they were like, let's also fix that. It fucking does. So they found inspiration in nature. They found inspiration in machining and everyday objects like bicycle pumps. They like played around with tripod clamps and like opening and shutting them. Looking at ski bindings clip in and out. I don't know what I wrote there. I don't ski, so I don't know what you bind.
No, I kind of
like the thing that puts them together.
It's like you have your boot on and you stick your toe into the front of the binding and then it clicks into the back.
Got
so you're clicked
it.
into your skis.
That makes sense.
But it's more of a clicking. But I can kind of see how that maybe would apply.
Yeah.
I'm interested.
Okay. Yeah, you can. I will share this Wired article now from all the way from November when October when I found it, because I've been holding it and keeping it secret. They started working with autoclavable silicone, depending on how you say it. I say silicone. Sure. I said it wrong the first time. Okay. I don't know why.
Hey, that's
you
fine.
can call it silicone though if you want, I'm sure. Is it different? Silicon Valley? That's what I... That's spelled different though. There's no E on that, I don't think.
That's silicone.
So listen, I'm stupid. Silicone. No. So silicone is a new material. They experimented with 3 prongs over 2. They tried shrinking it down to the size of a tampon. They tried putting the handle of it at different angles, like 90 degrees, 120 degrees. And then after they did all this like experimenting with it, they 3D printed little prototypes and they gave them out to OBGYNs and let them use them and see what they liked and what they didn't like about it. So the good things, they liked the 3 bills because it gave them a good view of your insides without having to like stretch, open a patient that far.
Yeah.
They like the 110 degree handle because it gave them like enough extra space so that the patients didn't have to do that, like just one more scooch down for me. That's the fucking worst, isn't it?
It is the worst.
You feel like you're gonna fall off the table. It's like, do I need to be this far down?
And then you're just up and in her face, her poor face.
Yeah, it is. Every time they're like, okay, scoot on down. And you're like, scoot. They're like, yeah, keep on.
Please
and then you keep going, and then it's just like one more. Come on, one more. It's
Get
like
up here.
Get it in my face. And then the silicone. I'm forgetting now. I'm panicking. The silicone.
That's right.
Covering was also a big hit, and then the speculum that they created was totally silent, which is cool. Cool.
Nice. That's nice.
So from there, the designers realized that this is really a bigger effort. It's going to be about more than just redesigning this one tool, and that they're really going to have to think about how to redesign the entire experience of going for an annual exam or a pelvic exam or et cetera, whatever it is.
Wow.
And that's basically where they are now.
Shit.
Just trying to make it better for patients and doctors.
Wow.
Yeah. Doing the Lord's work, ladies.
Yeah,
Appreciate
seriously. Oh my god. Are there pictures in the Wired article at all?
Yeah, there are.
I'm curious to see.
Yes. Oh, I should share like a picture of like I wonder if I can find the pewter spoon with strategically placed mirrors.
Yeah.
And put it next to our modern, quiet Silicon Valley
like some medieval torture shit.
Jesus Christ. And like when they're metal, like you can't get a lot of like when things are metal, they're gonna have hard edges. Like that can't. Oh god, I don't like thinking about it. Whatever. I don't like thinking about it. It's gross. So that's my episode.
Oh,
Should
man.
we share some Cosmo tips?
Oh my god, yeah. I need to process all of this.
I know.
It's a lot.
It is.
And I hate that I had no idea
I didn't either.
about any of it.
I did not have any idea at all. And I never thought about it, and I never thought to learn, and I never would have expected it to have that kind of past, that kind of history behind it, and that we haven't, that we haven't made advances.
Yeah.
And that we are,
still using the same shit.
Yeah, we're still using the same shit.
That's got some bad juju.
And we're, seriously.
That's insane.
And we're still idolizing the person who created it without being honest. Not that I knew who Sims was at all. I didn't know what he had done. I didn't know he was a father of modern gynecology. I mean, technically I knew none of this.
Right.
But when I'm sure, when there are people interested in being med students, when there are people interested in learning about these things, my guess is they probably learn a lot about Sims and what he did, and they probably don't learn a lot of detail about what he actually did to get to where he got. That was a stupid sentence, but
that's not fucking fair though. No, I remember in health class in 8th grade, she brought out my teacher brought out what is the device called again? It's like some fancy word. The clamp, the bills.
Oh, the speculum?
Speculum.
Yeah.
She brought out one of those and was cranking it open and closed in front of the class and was like, this goes right up in there. And all the guys were in there too, and everybody's giggling and no one's taking it seriously, and she's really trying to just get through this fucking lesson. But you see that and you're like, that's fucking terrifying.
Yeah,
and I'm just gonna laugh about it because I don't know what else to do, because that doesn't seem real at all. And lo and behold, every year she was right. Yeah. It does go inside of me.
It does.
And it sucks.
It does.
And it's just as scary as it was that day in health class. But the thing is, they don't go into any of the history about it, which in health class, maybe that's not their job.
Yeah, I assume teachers probably aren't paid enough to spend a ton of time delving into the history of everything that they tell you about. They probably just have to tell you the
what
basics of
now.
it.
Yeah.
But I'm sure if they did, they would not share the whole story. Because it's a tough thing. It's a tough thing to talk about. It's a hard thing to admit.
Yeah.
Two, it's a hard thing to. For some reason, in our country especially, it's a hard thing to separate accomplishment from the process, even if that process was horrific. And, it can be difficult. And if it's it can be difficult to face these things, but it fucking should be, because we did that.
Yeah.
We did that.
Yeah.
We did that, and we need to look at it, and we need to talk about it, and we need to not let it be forgotten, and we need to try to learn and grow. And we can't fucking pretend like it doesn't exist because it makes us feel bad, or because we don't want to admit to it. And the fact that we even have to say this is kind of crazy, because the people who suffered are the people we're trying to forget. And it's you don't want to face it because it makes you uncomfortable, but what the fuck they went through. You should have to look at it every day. You should have to look at it, and you should have to admit to it, and you should be just trying to be a better person from it.
Fuck everybody's uncomfortability.
Yeah, so thank you.
Fuck that.
Anarcha, Betsy, Lucy.
Yeah.
Thank you to all 10 of the enslaved women. The 7 that were not named, and
they endured all this shit
for us, and we now benefit from something that they had to. It's all because of them, and we should all know about it, and tell more people about it. Share this. I'm really glad we did this, because it sheds a lot of light on the history that we, this affects us women directly, and I had no idea. So it's important to keep a dialogue open about it and talk about it.
tell your friends at a party. Just, you know.
It's not really the
know.
best party conversation, but
I
it's
know.
an important one
I know, you need
to have.
Just fucking.
Just find it. Yeah. Yeah.
God.
Remember them. And really, go check out that Hidden Brain thing.
Yes.
Read the New York Times
Share that.
article on it. And there's a ton of other information out there. I honestly only did a small amount, to fit in this length of this episode. So, and I'm sorry if you can hear my dogs in the background. They're both managing to make noise at the same time.
Trying to just be like, hey,
Be like, hey, go away, shoo, get the fuck out. We're doing
like,
something.
look at me.
No. Anyway, I do want to say, like, to open our Cosmo tip thing.
Yes.
I opened an article to just try to find a new one. This today, and
sorry.
at the top of the article I opened, it was like a screenshot of it, or a photograph of an actual Cosmo cover, and one of the like little headlines was 44 ways to fuck like an idiot. And I was like, gotta write that one down.
Is that real? That
It was a
can't be real.
picture of it. It was a picture of the cover of the magazine. I do often ask myself that when I see Cosmo tips, like, that can't be
Like an
that can't
idiot.
be right.
That day they were just like, fuck
44
it.
ways, not 45 even. They can even make it a nice 44 ways to fuck like an idiot.
I would love if that was just a placeholder that they forgot to change before they
would be
published.
Awesome. But then I feel like they just play it off. Like,
I know.
fucking with the tips you have, I feel like you could easily put 44 things that make you
Absolutely.
sound like a fucking idiot.
Oh, pretty much everything
When
we
you're
say
having sex.
about Cosmo here, yeah. Yeah. Accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, do you want to go first or you want me to go first?
You go first.
Okay, so because I couldn't find, oddly enough, there are no speculum related sex tips, I went for the other part of the body that is in attendance during annual exams, and that is your boobies.
Your boobies.
So I went for something that had to do with the boobs, and it was tough to choose, but eventually I narrowed it down to my favorite, and I wrote this word for word because I don't want to touch the crafting that this person went through to get to this hot tip. Tickle his feet with your nipples. Climb on top of him in reverse cowboy position, and then bend over until your nipples reach the tops of his feet. Yowza. First of all, so many first of alls. But first of all,
I'm dying.
to get nipple to toe, right? You're gonna have to scooch. Like, this is like that part of the pelvic exam where they're just like a little bit farther, a little bit
more.
You're not gonna get from, like, at best you can tickle his knees with your nipples,
That's
like,
pretty hot.
that is hot
I
tip
love a good
straight
knee
for
tickle.
me. But
What?
to get to the feet, you're gonna need to go way down there. So it's just like, you want me to go further away from the penis in the wrong direction.
In no world.
to put my nipples on his toes.
It's not even flexibility, it's torso length.
Yeah.
That's it.
And like,
And I'm like tall, but
Yeah.
like there's no way. There's no way.
yeah. And like, I have small breasts, so I'd have to basically have my face in his feet also.
Yeah. Digby.
My dog is getting in trouble. He won't be quiet. We're almost done.
He's so excited.
God, I want to kill him. Anyways, what's your tip?
Oh,
tell me.
true.
Please tell me.
Hot tip.
Hot tip. Also,
Coming at
so
ya.
get out there, ladies. Put your nips on toes.
That's what the men want. Okay, so this is a good one. If you're looking to spice things up. I didn't know your tip, so it's not really related. I mean, your subject.
My subject.
Yeah. So, quote. Get together under a light sheet, turn the fan on high, and pretend you're hooking up in a wild windstorm.
Has the person who wrote that ever actually been outside? Like, your fan on high isn't even equivalent to like a light breeze. A wild windstorm.
A wild
You'd need like
windstorm.
20 fucking fans in the room. Like, imagine how loud
A light
that would
breeze.
be.
God, who comes up with this shit? Like,
I don't know, but they get paid money to do it.
I would like to do that.
Me too, actually. I could
God,
do this.
that is so
I could
good.
fucking do this.
That sounds so fun to come up with these bullshit
Yeah.
tips and see how
Let's
many
make
people
up one right
actually
now.
try. Oh God. Wrap yourself in wrapping paper for the holiday
Love it.
season.
Yes.
And put little
Ooh,
ornaments on your nipples.
Yeah, glitter. Yeah, glitter bomb your bush. It'll be like the glitter beer, but instead it's the glitter bush.
Glitter bush. Oh my
Fucking
God, it's very festive.
Yeah, pour eggnog all over your vagina and let him lick it off.
There's a lot of steps here. This is just still the same tip. And then...
This is just
And
then play Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You backwards. Wow.
While you have sex, but you pretend that it's sex in reverse, so it's like Twin Peaks, where they record it forward, but their movements are weird, so it looks like you're doing it in a rewound fashion.
Oh my God, this is
really spicy
money. So you're welcome, guys. Happy holidays.
Let us know how it goes. Email us at friskyhistory@gmail.com to let us know how our tip works out for you.
Let us know. I want to see pictures of glittery bushes. We'll regret it later, but we're living in the moment.
Let us know how it goes. I don't know if we're going to try
Can you imagine the
in our own
mess
separate lives.
that your jeans would just have in them if you covered
Everywhere
your
you go.
pubes in glitter?
Just in the toilet when you pee. It would actually, that would, be nice.
Yeah, it would be like that. I would
just peeing
I
glitter.
bet I would smile every
It's
time I
glitter.
saw like you just go to pee and you pull down your pants and it's just like glitter everywhere. You'd be
Yeah.
like, this is kind of cheerful.
yeah.
Actually, I really like it.
Yeah, it's really on brand.
Yeah, I feel like I just came out of a Lady Gaga concert or something.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
You have glitter all over your bush. I love that.
I do too, actually.
Yeah.
I love the ornament nipples,
Yeah.
wrapping paper.
We'll come up with more.
Yeah,
too.
we'll keep working on those.
Yeah, that's
good. And Cosmo, call us.
That's right.
You know,
Yeah.
we're available. We're available for freelance, for full time, for general conversations.
Birthday
If you
parties.
just want to talk about it, if you
Bar
want to hear,
mitzvahs.
oh my God, dress up like a clown and put a balloon inside of your partner's vagina and then blow it up, pull it out, make it into a dog, stick it back in. Then have sex.
She'll never see it coming.
It'll be the weirdest, sexiest experience ever.
Love
You know?
it. I love that.
Like after a couple of years, it's like, what do we even do anymore?
No.
I don't want to just stick it in. That's boring. That's
No,
lame.
yeah.
I need something cool.
Some balloon animals in there. God.
Thanks for listening, guys.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, and thank you for coming along with us on this episode.
And please, I know it's lame, but subscribe and leave a
Yes.
review
And review
because it
us
helps
and
us
rate
a lot.
And we want to know what you think, and we want to know what you want and what you hate.
Yes.
Please.
Yes.
And also,
Email us.
thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be back next Friday.
That's right. See
Bye. You can find us on the internet at Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Our handle is @FriskyHistory. You can also listen on SoundCloud, Stitcher, iTunes. Google maybe has one. Anywhere podcasts are available.
You can direct your questions, concerns, feedback, and weird sex stories to our email at friskyhistory@gmail.com.
Yeah. So, bye.